Holy Gospel, according to St. Matthew, the 11th chapter.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus chided people who find fault with God's ministry and that of John the Baptist. He thanks God that wisdom and intelligence are not needed to receive what God has to offer. A reading from Matthew. Jesus spoke to the crowd, saying, "To what will I compare this generation? It is like children sitting in the marketplace and calling to one another. We played the flute for you, and you did not dance. We wailed, and you did not mourn. For John came, neither eating nor drinking, and they say he has a demon. The Son of Man came, eating and drinking, and they say, look, a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. Yet wisdom is vindicated by her deeds." At the time Jesus said, "I thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and the intelligent and have revealed them to infants. Yes, Father, for such was your gracious will. All things have been handed over to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Come to me, all you who are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Friends, you maybe see that. And also, I rescued the sermon note from Kathy's accidentally taking it. So I still have it in there. And when I was typing up, I didn't realize I used the page, like the font said 14. It seemed like the really nice size. It's really getting bigger than I realized, and getting like more pages to add to it. So I was like, oh my God. That will be it. I will see. At least I got something typed up this time. Last week was handwritten. This time I typed this morning. So what do you think about hearing today's reading? Is there something really captures you in your heart? This specifically, like this morning.
Flip Wilson had it right. The devil made me do it.
What? What was it? You need to explain. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Comedian Flip Wilson, when he would mess up or something, go, "I wasn't me, the devil made me do it." And that's what Paul is saying in Romans, right?
Yeah, that's what he is. He probably blaming something else. But I think the Paul's letters of the Romans gives us a sense of this living is hard. Frustrating. It frustrates a lot. This is something, we know better to do it. And how often we come short, that not quite meeting on that what I wish I would be doing. And in a sense, it's like, whoa, if you're very Lutheran, you would go, I can't do this. I just can't do by myself. But the Christ can. And that's the way that the Luther said. But that you resonate with that, the frustration, things like, sometimes I'm doing things with, it's not. Isn't it? That's like, and that's kind of one of the things is in today's reading seems like all over to me, but it's like one thing really came connected is this sense of like frustration, sense of weariness in things not quite, I wish to see. The first reading of the Zechariah has that scene too. That is the way later in written with the time of Zechariah was that they are after came back from exile. That's what the Zechariah's time frame is. Everyone said like, once we get back to our homeland, everything will be okay. But that's not true. Came back, restoration was taking longer. It was not coming up together. That was the situation in Zechariah. And what we hear, well, at least to me, this is what I hear. It's a reminder of the today's reading thread through is life can be restless. And our God gives a rest or assurance with a promise of rest. So that really comes down to the gospel, which is I'm mainly going to talk about. Because that really speaks to me strongly is this sense of weariness. Maybe that's what I felt last week. Got so weary with this heat. I don't know, I grew up this kind of weather, but I tell you this heat was killing me. I don't know about you, maybe you're well off. I saw people picking watermelons in the middle of the day, and I go like, oh my God, are they okay? I mean, it's a hard work out there and doing it. Or maybe sometimes it's just watching the news for the past couple of days, it's getting me weary too. It's just so sad. The devastations in the Venezuela situation, the earthquake, the aftershock they're still going through to find out. That's kind of like, oh no. Because I know what afterwards with the earthquake, heavy earthquake means. My wife's husband was talking about, people maybe feeling weariness with if they have the debts carrying on. I don't have debts. Lucky me, lucky thanks to my parents. I don't have. But if you have something you need to pay off, the burdens and the stress, it's really hard. Sometimes we feel so weary with if it's the family's relationship, of course, probably not quite working out well. That will be a stress or unfulfilled expectations. That can make us weary. Or the cat makes your demands and coming around and in the middle of the night say like I need a breakfast. And even the neighbor cat show up that when I open the door, they come like, I'm hungry too. Your cat will. Your cats are early risers.
I stepped them over.
But I know you give the food, but they are hungry. And when the little kitten got hungry, the mama cat really comes and asks the food for it. I fed it this morning.
We're transferring the cat.
Do not transfer to my place. We have plenty enough. Don't add to my weariness. I already have enough 2 cats who are just learning to tolerate. I don't need to add 2 more on top of it. But I will help out if they come to me and need it.
It's called the transfer portal.
Isn't that just always a sports like the college kids are doing? Don't transfer to me. We don't take any transfers. We have plenty enough. We have good ones in our place now. But as I said, we'll help you because you guys help our cats too. So if you happen to be feeling a bit weary, I'll say this is your good day because you find the company of the God's people of the generations who felt weariness. Jesus invites inviting those who feel weary to come to him. Those who are carrying the heavy burdens to come to him. And assuring, I'll give you rest. Assuring that you will find rest in me. And take up my yoke, because my yoke is easy and light. I'm a healthy skeptic. That's what I call myself. I'm a healthy skeptic. I tell you, not always take the Jesus word as itself. Because when he says, my yoke is easy and light, I look around and go, I don't think so. I don't know. You may think like, yeah, exactly. That's a yoke that Jesus invited me to carry. It's easy. Like, I don't think so. I always struggle with my cats and, But I wonder, it may not be as easy the Christ yoke is, but maybe it is a bit lighter. I wonder that is one of the main message that Jesus is speaking in here. When Jesus says, come to me, all who you are weary and carrying heavy burdens, I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light or lighter. So you know what the yoke is about. You probably heard it before, putting on the animal's shoulders to help the plow the field and carry the heavy stuff out there. See, farming is improved from that time period. Definitely, the machine makes better job. But that's a heavy work, isn't it? It's like the yoke, and then they're supposed to go and carry and help cultivate the field. What I did a little online search and then also mentioned this, the yoke is really about what animals are carrying, but also can be metaphorically used as something restricting the freedom. Like the came to my mind is Isaiah 9:4. It says, the yoke of Midian, that's the godly way. It says, imagine of the heaviness that the people are carrying. It's like a yoke. So Jesus invites to carry his yoke, which he claims easy and light. Or I say lighter. Carrying the yoke of Jesus, the yoke of Christ, is lighter because it's not carrying alone. It's carrying with God. So I'll give you the example how this looks like carrying the yoke of Christ, and the yoke feels a bit lighter. So last Wednesday, some of you were there for the missionary Megan and missionary team's visit, and we have very blessed time hearing the stories. One of the things I remember from what they're talking, or the stuck with me, was this: they are there to accompany people, accompaniment, like walking alongside. It's what they do over Tokyo, Japan. So the missionary Megan and missionary T are responsible to leading the English worship in the Tokyo Lutheran Church. And I found out that the service is before the Japanese service starts. That means a bit early in the morning. And she said, like, some of the people come to worship, taking over an hour of train ride to make it to the worship. And that itself is not too outrageous in Tokyo area to take the train ride about an hour to go somewhere to do stuff. But still think about it. You take about over an hour to be in this worship service. It's something special about that thing. And you know, this is what I was thinking about when I heard it. Living in foreign land is not easy. I mean, it's constantly you are learning something new, new language, new culture, and new food too. You try to learn the new way of the lifestyle. And learning is a good thing. When we learn, we come like, oh yeah, I didn't know that. That's something. But imagine you're learning constantly, non-stop, learning something. It can be very stressful. And I start to wonder that this English language worship service is offering a space for a little rest for those who gather. I mean, worship is always a good thing, joyous thing. We come together to experience this God's grace and goodness. That's a good thing. But not only that, but also for some, I wonder this is a time to be with people who are also going through challenges of living in a foreign land. And I can certainly testify to that experience by being an international student for a long, long years. I mean, I cherish the other fellow international students who understand the frustration and stress that those domestic students who seems like easily just reading those 100 pages of assignment and then talking all the time in the classroom, and while struggle to get the assignment done and taking hours and hours in front of computer trying to type a 3-page paper. And you have to ask your tutor to go over it before you get submitted. That was a life, and I, fellow international student, our level of English are varied, but we really understood that together. And we call it those Americans. But that is needs a place somewhere to take some rest of the something in going through. And I wonder, this English Lutheran worship in Tokyo Lutheran Church is an offering of rest for some. They're offering a place to walk alongside. One way to carry one's yoke together. So, Jesus invites those who are weary, come to me and take my yoke. My yoke is easy. My yoke is maybe easier, and my yoke is lighter. We all know life in our life on earth. The yokes we carry on our backs or on our shoulders or on our knees or on our foot or maybe on our head may not go away. I read something funny things that saying like when we are young, we run into difficulties. As we age, the difficulties run into us. And I saw how true it is. Right, Bill, you told me about that. Getting old is not a good thing. More yokes, more burdens we may have to carry. But the invitation of Jesus is that we have yokes to carry. But His yoke is easier. His yoke is lighter because you are not going to carry it alone. You may have heard the stories that, when you become like temporary homebound, you can't drive anymore, right, author? When we can't drive anymore, rely on somebody, then you find God's angels somehow show up to you and sometimes bring the food to you and carry that our yoke together. Are you feeling weary? Are you carrying the burdens? If so, remember, you are blessed. Because carrying the yoke of Christ is not necessarily easy, but lighter and bit bearable. And when we carry the yoke of Christ together, we taste God's mercy and grace. That's, I believe, our source of energy to hope for tomorrow. And I remind you, Christ will show up in various shapes and sizes to offer us rest. That's the assurance and promise we live in. And from that promise, we